Good morning on this lovely Friday morning, the third day of January 2025. We have already launched into the new year, and I'm now also going to carry on with the theme or the topic of safety and security. The last video I was doing, I looked at the police and the community, also known as SAPS, South African Police Service, and the CPF, Community Police Forum, and how the cooperation between the two bodies is intended for preventing crime and ensuring a better safety and security. I don't know if you've noticed, and this is the point I've made also, is that when people are reporting to each other and sharing information about, crimes like smash and grab, housebreaking, car hijacking, etc., there's a look in their faces and a look in their eyes that they kind of are already conformed to the situation. They have resignation, they resigned to their fate, and there's almost a picture of no hope, or they are so used to the circumstances that there's no hope of any change to it, resigned to their fate. And this is what I've picked up from when talking to various people, and it's a very acceptable situation when we step back and look at the situation. But back to why are the plans against crime failing? Why is police service, along with the community forum, not really succeeding as they ought to, as it was planned to be? And first, we looked at SAPS, and we identified a few things like the resources, personnel, and training, corruption within the body, and the problem of the criminal justice system, where witnesses do not come forward to provide the evidence so that convictions can be secured. Then we look also for instance, at the Community Police Forum, which is independent of the police service, and that same issue of witnesses becomes relevant. Also, the support of the community for crime prevention and safety. I don't know if I related the story that while serving on that body, if there's a child that's been shot and killed in crossfire between gangs in an area, then the police station is full, or the community hall is full of the community coming to protest and to express their concern and so on. And then, after about a month or so, then it becomes sparse again. So then, even with invites from the police forum to come participate in the meetings and to make a contribution towards safety and security, then the community basically don't attend. They stay home, and it's just the faithfuls that come and are serious about the matter. And that's I would say is a lack of community support for crime prevention. But as soon as something goes wrong, somebody is hurt, somebody is killed, then again the community is now up in arms, and then they go on protest marches, etc., etc. So that's one strange anomaly. And then just another point that I've observed, in the previous years, the police was called a force, but the SAPS, South African Police Service, it's more a service now that they provide, and it's kind of like a weaker term. There's a law enforcement agency in the Western Cape of South Africa, where they work in conjunction with the police service, and they're not paid fully by the government, but they're paid by they're funded and paid for by the local government, the provincial government, as we say, and somehow they are more effective in many cases than the police service, and that people rely more on them for action to take place. So that is on the outside of things, but I also identified the situation that why the government is failing or has failed to provide safety and security for its citizens is that they have a very much a humanistic approach to the matter. Human beings are more than just out with things. They've got a spirit inside them. They of morals and beliefs. And with a humanistic approach, it becomes too superficial. Let's put it that way. For one thing, the death sentence was banned. A softer approach. A softer approach was applied to criminality, where criminals were given lighter sentences when they convicted, and in many cases the sentences were reduced while serving for good behavior, and then the same people that were corrected by correctional services go and perpetrate the same crimes outside again. And then what is a big issue is prison comforts. It's a soft approach. Many times the prisoner can study further in the prison. They can gain skills as part of the corrective services. And if they behave well and that type of thing, then they put on parole. But the parole services or system is also questionable because it's come to notice that the parolee or the person applying for parole comes before or the name appears before the parole board. But in my meager opinion, there's not enough consultation between the bodies like the police service and the community police forum as to whether to grant the parolee, parole. And many times the criminal or former criminal is placed back in the environment where he perpetrated the crime, and close to his former victims, and this is really an undesirable situation, and most of the public is not aware of these situations. So laws are softer for criminals in these modern times. The perpetrator, even of a murder, it serves a portion of his sentence and then is released, and while the victim of the murder lies in the grave, their life is ended, all their opportunities and potential is denied, and the family and friends of the murdered person, the victim, lies there, no longer existing, while the perpetrator is walking free in society again. It's like a double stab to the poor victims' families, to see the perpetrator, walking around, parading around in society as free, while they know that they lost their loved one. So these government agencies that I've mentioned, and there are more, I just touched on the main people or groups. They demonstrate no will to want to change this horrible dynamic. If you look at the committees that deal with safety and security in Parliament. A lot of talk, a lot of plans, etc. But if you look in society on the ground, the only conclusion you can reach is that there's no strong will to want to change this horrible dynamic. You can also draw the conclusion that there's a lack of intelligence to appreciate what is really going on. It's people that are there, but they don't know what's going on the ground, and they don't care to know what's going on the ground. Well, that's the impression one gets. And also, another conclusion could be the skill and knowledge set is too blunt. They just don't have the ability to perceive what is really the problem and how to go about solving the problem. There's a lot of talk, a lot of meetings. So let me conclude by saying, how, because you're probably wondering now, okay, I've got a fat lot to say, but what do I think it should happen to change this crime wave that's just continuing and continuing? For real change, I would suggest that there should be stricter laws going forward against crime. There should be heavier sentences from the courts of law, which actually relates to laws, because laws have to be passed to ensure that there's heavier sentences in the courts of law. And these, along with other things, can be as a deterrent to the potential criminal in society to see that it's not so easy to get away and easy to serve sentence if they get the true impression of how terrible and harsh sentences can be, and that prison life is uncomfortable and very hard. So harsher prison life, and I would also push in there a better witness protection and a better education and training for both the police services and the correctional services. Okay, not so much for the correctional services because they're doing a sterling job, but I think the training, of police needs. I can speak about it another time, but there is a need for better training there. And then, of course, like I mentioned the last time, these points I mentioned now are short term, but in the long term, there should be better education in the education system that is not so humanistic only, but also includes the human spirit, the moral and the social and the citizen responsibility side of things. As I said before, it would be nice to do a video talking about just that, the education system and how it impacts on the turnout of society. I mentioned, for instance, previously that Japanese society is commendable. And why is it commendable is because the children from very young are taught some very good social and citizenship and moral principles that's part of the society. So I just want to conclude by that and to wish you a pleasant day further.